Welcome back to another part of this F1 25 My Team Career Mode. This is part number 35 today for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix in Season 3, off the back of a duel in the desert as we went toe-to-toe, both AAR cars, until an engine failure cut that short. It was a really unfortunate demise for Ollie Bearman, who was leading at that point, and we had to just bring it home to get the victory nonetheless. Back-to-back wins from Japan to Bahrain, but it's just an unfortunate bit of bad luck there for Ollie Bearman, and for us as a team, of course, is, you know, this year we care about every single driver. But just early doors in this episode, I want to bring you guys a look at the driver market to see the updated driver ratings. Of course, remember, in this career series, every driver has also had their own growth in the series. So Leclerc has actually grown to be the best driver on the grid. He's the reigning world champion, to be fair, so it makes sense in this alternate timeline of ours in this series. But Piastri, with a serious bump up with the driver rating and his own growth, now sees him 93, just one below Lando Norris and Max Verstappen. Despite Sainz getting a downgrade in the series, he's grown, so he's up to 92. Albon has grown not only in the series, but the driver rating update, and so now he is 90 rated overall, and it's clear why. He is the lead Ferrari so far in the season. Hulkenberg up to 86. Antonelli, the youngster, he's grown rapid time, 86 rated this kid is. I mean, you know, we spoke briefly about, you know, who might we be going for in the driver market into the next season. I wanted to give it some time before deciding who I'm going to scout, but of course we're already scouting Antonelli from, you know, the very first time we scouted him, and it looks like he's growing into an even crazier looking sensation in this series. But we've got obviously some downgrades in other cases, some big bump ups for Isaac Hadjar as well, added in with growth he already had in the series, and then you got the likes of Maloney, Aaron Doohan down there, all on 73 as the lowest rated drivers on the grid. But I'm very happy with our lineup. 81 rated Bearman now, 70 rated still Tramnitz. I feel like his growth needs to be a bit quicker, and I think a lot of you guys agree. But Bearman's already been bumped up by 1 then with the driver ratings improvement. But, you know, no matter the number on the overall rating, you guys have seen, I feel very vindicated for those of you who are maybe unsure about us signing Bearman alongside keeping Tramnitz. This pairing is good enough to win races at the moment with the car we've got relative to the other teams, and we've just got to try and keep on rolling through, like I said, trying to go for, honestly, every single race win until the other AI teams overtake us in the R&D chart. Because although Ferrari are ahead of us, because they've got Albon and Ocon, I don't think the full potential of the Ferrari is being seen. Even though Albon's up to 90 rating, yeah, sure. But I still think there's that little missing edge, and that's allowing us to attack Ferrari, win the last 2 races. They won the first race, of course. But I think when you've got, like, Verstappen and Piastri, let's say, you know, when they've got a car that is better than us on paper, I think they will be a problem, a much bigger problem than Ferrari are right now. And the same for maybe McLaren with Leclerc, the reigning champion. You know, 96 rated Charles Leclerc. That's a very scary prospect. So I think once McLaren, you know, maybe buck up, and the same for Merc as well, it's going to be an issue, as I've said. So we're just making the most of things. We are actually bringing upgrades to the durability side of the car to try and improve that side of things. I've also seen some of the comments urging me to do component management. Guys, I do component management every episode. It's just a case of I don't really show it to you. There's no need to show it to you every single time. But, you know, in the practice programs, I'll try and use the worn engine parts, and then into the race weekend, use some new components. That's for the driver I'm playing as. The other AI driver, I can't really pick and choose, but I hope that it's okay, you know, what I do from race weekend to race weekend. And before we get into the next race, there's not too much time from Bahrain to Jeddah in the activity timeline. We do have a little bit of customization to do in the decal editor, just checking through on some of the different variants we've got for some of the newer sponsors. Basically, you know, the more you have of them on the car, the more placements, the more races you do, you unlock the variants. And we're going through to try and unlock the more interesting variants of Zebra, which is kind of, as I said at the start of the season, I'm kind of touted it as one of our new main sponsors on the car. You know, they're very prominent on the side pod, they're very prominent on the side of the car, the side of the chassis, the rear wing, on the top of the halo, front and center. We've still got Slingshot in there, kind of, you know, completely taking over the rear wing, of course, but I've kind of framed it as this new brand being the new kind of secondary sponsor. Obviously, our main title sponsor is clearly Duotone, as they're everywhere on the car, you know, with the red and blue circles on the front wing as well, the side pod. But yeah, I've enjoyed having this sort of, you know, getting actually interested in what the car looks like with the sponsors. And, you know, I feel like there's this unspoken law that we've created with some of these sponsors of, you know, going through, getting the variants and placing them more and more on the car. And I feel like you guys, you know, even if I didn't say any of that, you guys would have maybe been able to tell me in the comments below who you reckon I'm leaning towards as my favorite secondary sponsors to use and to kind of, you know, create on the car. So it's you know, as I've said time and time again, really enjoying the decal editor. And, you know, I think I've said before, you know, we did a, you know, half modded, half still decal editor livery this season. I think maybe into future seasons we'll start to incorporate more realistic, real sponsors, but I still think there's going to be a place for the decal editor and the fictional sponsors, because I think it's such a shame to not use some of them at least, because we've had that affiliation with so many, and also obviously they're all tied to actual income coming in. Not that we maybe need the income, because we've actually got too much money to spend basically at this point of the career of the entire series, but you know, I still think there's a part to have there. So it might be a case if we go about maybe 70% modded with real sponsors in the future, 30% with the fictional decal editor. Right now it's about 50-50, and that, I hope you'll agree, that T-Cam view is looking gorgeous this season. Still not gotten over it, and we're just adding to the car, obviously, with the extra slots we unlocked recently with the new fan rating and then the new variants, just adding a little flavor, different little hits of the car around it. You know, you'll notice it evolving slightly as we add a little bit more color here and there to parts where we get new variants. So yeah, really, really good. A little bit of a cheeky little update on the customization as we now roll into towards the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. And of course, we're switching to driving as Ollie Bearman, the man with the engine failure. Can we make up for it from what happened to him last episode?
Welcome to Jeddah Corniche, one of the fastest circuits on the calendar, but let's see who will be the fastest of them all. It's time to set the grid for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Yes, it's time for qualifying.
Now, I'm hoping this is going to be a decent weekend for us. Last season, it was a bit of a messy affair for us in the car. I'm hoping less so. I think we, you know, the team has matured to a point where we don't need to go for dangerous dives, let's say, on the opening lap, for example. So it's just about keeping cool, calm, collected, and maximizing what this car can do, what we know it can do in these first rounds, and has been showing us, and especially in the hands of the other AI driver, no matter who we drive as. If we drive as Bearman, drive as Tramnitz, the other one's been performing really, really well. Even if Tramnitz is 11 overall lower, he's still performing at a really, really awesome level where it's a checkerboard of us and Ferrari at the top. But some sizable gaps there, as the simulation times on this game are still all over the place, I feel, sometimes in the quali, as we have a bit of a lock-up into turn one as we try and go a little bit later on the brakes, trying to find that limit of the car at the circuit here and just overdoing it a tad, but we'll still hold it through. Didn't lose too much speed, probably just a little bit of momentum and time. It's still purple first sector right now, which is very, very good as we get so close to the wall on the left. So much confidence in this car. Honestly, it is a dream to drive, and I think part of that, compared to when I did the maxed out experiment car, is because of that lack of brake upgrades is making it a lot better for me into the corners. Whereas when we did the maxed out experiment, the brakes were like so on edge and it was so difficult. But now it's feeling like a dream at the moment. Tramnitz beat us there by a tiny margin. So he's looking quick again. Both Ferraris are through, both Red Bulls, one Renault, a Williams, and a Merc, as it was last time. Sainz again struggling to get the most out of this Mercedes, even though he's the more senior man now, or more established man, I should say, in Mercedes. Lando, it's only his, fourth race in the Silver Arrow, and he's dragging the Mercedes up into a place where Sainz just can't match it, as we are finding the fun in Sector 1. The car, the front end just goes exactly where we want it to. Into the final corner, maybe a little bit of understeer and overdoing the steering input there to try and turn the car, and in turn actually it hindered us a bit as we fly out the final corner to the line, and there might not be enough time to go again, unfortunately, with the timing of that. And it's only third place. I say only, I mean, that's still pretty damn great, but we're 5/10 off Tramnitz, so he's beaten us fair and square. But Albon has gone even quicker. We spoke about, maybe, him and Ocon not realizing the maximum of the Ferrari. Well, the commentator's curse there. Albon proving me wrong. Very, very quick. A lot quicker than Tramnitz there, although his teammates down the order. But some of those lap times are pretty crazy. So I don't know if just people didn't have tyres to use, or a mad amount of traffic, or, the simulations, when you load from the session into this screen have been a little bit nuts, as I've said. So it's maybe just a little bit of that. But Piastri, the lead Red Bull, P4, Lando P7, the Renault ahead of the Williams and McLaren. Leclerc, again, will be disappointed that he's only in P10 as the reigning champ. They do, all of them need upgrades, but that's great news for us, because it's going to be 2 against 1 on the race start.
So here we are then, welcoming you today to one of the jewels of the Arab world. Jeddah, one of the biggest cities in Saudi Arabia, second only to Riyadh, gateway to Mecca. One of the biggest ports in the region, and now host to the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Alex Albon will lead us away from pole position, and Tim Tramnitz completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Behrman, Piastri, Max Verstappen, and Norris, Gasly, Tsunoda, Leclerc, Paul Aaron, Sainz, Colapinto, Lance Stroll, and Antonelli, Ocon, Lawson, Pepe Marti, and Jack Doohan, Hadjar, Hulkenberg, Maloney, and Gabriel Bortoletto completes the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track. And so, we welcome you to the commentary box. I'm Alex Jakes. Alongside me for this race, and it's going to be some race, is Anthony Davidson. It feels like an obvious question, but I think everyone wants to know, at this stage, are you nervous or excited?
Probably at the start of a race, it's where your heart rate's at its highest in anticipation. And you've got to be in the right mindset. You've got to be thinking there inside the car, what can go right? How can I be opportunistic rather than what can go wrong? And how do I protect my position? Look forward and stay positive. It's easy to say, very hard to do when you're in that position.
Strategy-wise, it's going to be pretty straightforward here around Jeddah. I think it's a one-stop medium to the hard compound of tyre. In Season 1, there was maybe a couple of two-stoppers, but even though we've had some higher tyre wear clearly as a grid this season with the regulation change reset we had, I think Jeddah is more of it's going to be a one-stop. I'd be very surprised if the 2 is used. At least we're definitely like the top 10. I think you just lose so much more time, don't you, in the pits. And, with the nature of this circuit, especially when the grid is so tight, the times may have been a bit crazy from the pockets of cars, but in between, it's so fine. So in a track like this, you just need to stick with people and stick in that DRS. And, it is a place where, with all the improvements to F1 25, the nature of the circuit means you are trying to stick in these groups and trains to just keep in the fight and keep in that gambling position of the last lap, essentially. And it's certainly going to be a very close one, I think, all the way to the end as we go to 5 red lights. The Saudi Arabian Grand Prix is underway. It's a slow start for Albon off pole. He comes across to try and defend Tramnitz, who into turn 1 is on the inside. We take it nice and easy, as I don't want to interrupt what Tramnitz is trying to do, and that is securing P1. And Albon puts himself in the wrong position position. He's on the inside. We learn from Season 2. We go to the outside, and all of a sudden, it's a 1-2 for the team. And oh, what a move by Leclerc. Nearly. No, not quite. That was going to be a sensational overtake from Leclerc. He's in P9, was trying to make it P8, but not quite. It's Gasly, P7 ahead of Tsunoda, then Norris, P6. The two Red Bulls together. Verstappen's made up some places, and Ocon had a 10-place grid penalty, so he's down. He's up to P14, but he was 15th, I think, on the grid. So Ferrari really is just one car in it versus us two as we get to the end of lap 1. Albon all over the back of us as Verstappen overtakes Piastri to become the lead Red Bull. But it's Bahrain all over again. It's us versus the other aarava racing car. Ferrari's in there, though, and it's a lot closer this time than it was in Bahrain, I think, as we have to go for the move on Tramnitz because Albon is trying to overtake us. It was a necessity overtake because honestly I think Albon had the momentum to overtake Tramnitz there, even if I wasn't, like, if my car wasn't in the middle. So we had to make the move because Albon, I think, was always making this move on Tramnitz as the two of them are having an insane side-by-side moment, and so much so they've lost 1.78 seconds to me in one sector. That is how slow they were going side by side. They kept it very respectful, but that's played into my hands driving as Ollie Behrman, because just like before where we talked about being in clean air, breaking the DRS, it means now we can control things in these next few laps. But I think unlike previous circuits, Jeddah, the nature of the circuit, the AI is so good with battery usage, etc. I think they're going to eventually catch up, but right now we'll enjoy the lead as we're just watching a real great squabble going on for all points paying positions today. The two Williams and the McLaren fighting. Leclerc, he probably would be wishing he's fighting a lot higher, but he's having to deal with the two Williams cars. I mean, what was it? Tsunoda in Japan had him. The Williams overtook him, so the Williams really at times this season has looked like the quicker car. Then the McLaren, as Leclerc is in that sandwich. Then ahead, Gasly actually doing well to be in no man's land. A bit quicker than the Williams cars, but not quick enough to keep up with Norris, who is now catching Piastri and might make a move on him soon. As on lap 3, we didn't catch when it happened, but at one point, Verstappen got ahead of Tramnitz then. He's going to retake him, I think, to the final corner as Norris in the background just on the rear wing of Oscar Piastri. But yeah, Tramnitz now, having, fought so hard with Albon, is now having to contend with Max Verstappen, and all the while the gap is still 1.7 to us in first place. But it is slowly coming down. 1.4 the gap now, and Tramnitz, having dispatched of Verstappen then at some point, he's now going to look for the repass on Albon to remake it a 1-2 maybe for this team. Not quite, but those two, again, they fight a little bit, and the gap is now back to 2.2. The more they fight, the better for me, but I really obviously at one point want Tramnitz to get back into second place, but he's on his own obviously as the AI teammate today, as we see Ocon making overtakes here. Nice one on the inside. Is he going to stick with this the entire way? Oh, lovely overtake from the Frenchman, showing how good the Ferrari can be versus the teams around. Ocon recovering up into the points-paying positions for the first time in this race. 5 places up, making all the moves. Very Hamilton-esque from Spa, really. Recovering well, making most of the moves on this grid, but there's also movement going on, as I alluded to earlier, with Norris and Piastri. Norris couldn't quite do it before. He can now, as by lap 8, Albon and Tramnitz, they've pulled away from Verstappen. The Red Bull feeling its tyre wear, but this was inevitable. They were always going to close up as my tyre wear kicks in a bit, and they're just so pin perfect on battery as Tramnitz is through. We've tried to be a good teammate, actually. You may have noticed there, as we just blocked Albon a little bit, and we opened up the door for Tramnitz, because if I'm going to get past, I'd rather get passed by my teammate, but the Ferrari is going to be a tough cookie to keep behind for the entire time as Albon switches from right to left. He's relentless here in his pursuit of both AAR cars. Tramnitz, though, in first place is now going to be the sitting duck, as we are going to have DRS, and we have the ability to save more battery. Already now it's looking better. 64%, it just makes such a difference being in the slipstream, being able to go and keep in medium or none in in Sector 1, for example, and save that battery, and then we can use it strategically to make a pass. Tramnitz goes defensive. It's going to be a little bit of an easy go move because I don't want to do anything too crazy with Tramnitz. Don't want to lose too much time with each other because now, look at the top left, Albon 1.8. The Ferrari is now feeling the tyre wear, 2.6. So now the Ferrari's really out of the game for this first stint, and it is all just Behrman versus Tramnitz. And I'm trying to play this very tactically, not even deploying battery there because I just knew that he was going to get the vault up. The slipstream there is incredible, and now we'll use the battery and DRS to gain. But it looks like actually Tramnitz dumped a lot of his energy because did he see the amount he pulled away off the exit? And now the pit window's open. So, really, the first car here should get pit priority, and I'm going to play it fair and go by that rule you would do in real life. So if I want to pit, I need to overtake Tramnitz on track. Even though I could force the pit stop, obviously, with the AI teammate, I'm going to try and play fair as we fake to the left, go to the right, on the outside. We're going to be side by side, and we did edge ahead, but now Tim is back, and we're going to follow him through, even though the door was open there. We're playing it fair. The car ahead makes the decision, and Tramnitz is going to drag us out for another lap as we are nice and easy into turn 1. Tramnitz a little bit wide on the exit, and we get the jump. A lot of battery use as we're down to single digits to get ahead and have the chance to pit. But the problem is now we're ahead, and surprise, surprise, in the second sector, Tim is going to get the opportunity to repass. Especially here, you actually get DRS, of course, in this section of the circuit, and he is flying by. You can see now also on the right-hand side with the heads-up display, the tyre wear is a factor. So Tim, dragging us out and being the lead car and not pitting yet is forcing my hand to stay out because I'm adamant about keeping this fair, keeping it somewhat realistic to real life, like I said, about, the lead car having pit priority, and you would never let the second car undercut unless you made that decision, actively as a team. But Tramnitz comes in then, and we continue on. We'll come in on the next lap, and Tramnitz probably will stay ahead of us, but that's fine. You know what? In a way, this will help us because there's clearly is a bit of higher tyre wear than Season 2 maybe with how, orange the icon is. So maybe the extra lap of tyre, or lappage here on the medium will help us on the hard tyre stint. If there's higher tyre wear on the hard tyre compared to last season, that extra lap, that delta difference might just help us right at the end of this race, as it is still Tramnitz then in what is probably going to be a net lead. Albon behind Verstappen. Ocon has now recovered way up the order. He's up ahead of Norris, Tsunoda, Piastri even. So Ocon's actually quietly had an insane first stint in this race, a road to recovery, unless there's maybe still a pit stop to come from him. I'm not too sure, as we are going to come out just, oh my days, look how close that was. That was unbelievable. I'm pretty sure Albon could have maybe made contact with us on that pit exit. We've timed that beautifully as a team, as a driver there, to get ahead of Albon just about, as there's an engine failure maybe for Max Verstappen. It is. It was an initial puff of smoke, but now a massive plume comes out of the Red Bull Ford. Oh, a big one. It's a huge engine failure for Max Verstappen. It's his second one of the season, isn't it? In only 4 rounds, and that will bring out the safety car. What? What on earth has just happened? It's a red flag. Albon has crashed with the wall under the safety car and brought out the red flag. What? What just happened? I can't actually process what I've just seen. We've gone from Verstappen retiring and slowing for his safety car to seeing Albon just going for the full send and crashing into the wall. Crazy. I mean, let's look at a replay. First of all, this is the first initial bit of interest because that was mighty close, but this is far too close. Albon just doesn't slow for the yellows for the safety car and he just drove straight at the wall. And then it was a airborne moment because the tyre lifted the entire Ferrari in the air. And actually, I was very, lucky and kind of, quick thinking to see this blurry red object coming through on the right, and we just slowed even more to basically let him by because I just saw the closing speed was too crazy for me to make that corner. If we had turned in like normal and we're at normal speed, that Ferrari would have hit us and we would have been out this race for the second time in a row with Ollie Bearman, of course. As we're now choosing tyres, I saw about a medium, but the medium, we only had one medium and we've already used it, so it's already worn out. So it's either going to be a hard or a soft. We're starting the race, restarting on lap 16. I'm going to gamble and I'm going to go for the soft compound because I reckon most people will have to go to the hard, probably the same hard we just went on to, or the new hard they've got, the second one. But I think because of that, the way we can win this race is by being on the soft, two-step softer compound and just blitzing it and then nursing the tyres at the end of the race and having that gap to nurse them. That's the game plan here. Let's see if it's going to work. As we go to 5 red lights for the second time tonight in Jeddah. It's a front row lockout now. Lights out and we're on the way. Tramnitz leads us. Ocon now behind us. He's recovered up to third as it's a very pedestrian turn one, as I didn't want to do anything funny knowing that we have this soft compound here, but Tramnitz was on mediums, Ocon on mediums. Did they somehow have a second medium to use? Because Tramnitz is in our own team and he had a second medium. My medium, the only one available, was the one I used at the start. So must be Tramnitz's AI actually picking a different allocation and having an extra medium. So that actually may have been very, very smart from our F3 AI. Is Sainz going very slow? Does he have a car issue at the Mercedes? That looks so pedestrian into turn one. I think Sainz may have a car issue as Lawson's up to P10 in the dew yellow Aston Martin Honda as we're now gaining on Tramnitz, and we're going to go now for the aggressive move because both of us have pulled away because Tsunoda, I didn't even mention it really, sorry, but he's up to third for goodness sake. The Williams is flying high and he's slowed up Ocon and Piastri. Tramnitz will be a tougher cookie to overtake than just that simple move because he's come back through, but we have the soft tyre, so we get the traction there, but he's going to have the straight line speed advantage as he's tucked up right behind us. He goes for the inside, he's powered through, but under braking we should have the grip with the soft to brake later, turn in quicker and get the move now done and dusted. And surely sector one here, we just get our head down and simply waltz away and use the soft compound to good use, and that is exactly what we've done. On to lap 19. The gap is 1.7 as now we watch behind an interest of Tsunoda. Now down 2 positions, so it was an electric start for the Japanese driver up to third, but now reality setting in. He's back down to P5. Piastri, the only Red Bull left in the race, in P4, and we saw some fighting going on between Aaron, Gasly, Leclerc, was it there? So Aaron in the other Williams doing very, very well as well. 73 rated, one of the lowest drivers on this grid. Paul Aaron, P7 right now in the Williams. Really, really great stuff for him. And Tsunoda is actually looking to re-pass Piastri here. So the Red Bull under some pressure, and then it's still all kicking off, and Leclerc he must be so frustrated, he just can't get this move done on his good pal Pierre Gasly. Might do it now on lap 20 with 5 laps to go as the tyre wear is starting to set in a bit, at least visually on the heads-up display. Feeling wise, it's all right. I am having to take it a little bit easy into some of these traction zones, but the gap is still 2 seconds. Has now come down to 1.7 in that one corner, so we might need to start thinking about going a bit easy and trying to save battery. And by lap 23, well, into the last corner, Tramnitz is going to bring the gap from outside 1 second to just under 1 second as we go towards lap 24. So now we need to re-engage with fight mode and try and defend this. The awkward thing is we're defending our own teammate, but this is kind of the duel that we were denied fully in Bahrain as Tramnitz comes through with DRS. We don't bother defending too much with ERS usage as we get a waft of dirty air. The tyre wear icon is orange now, but we didn't use battery, because now I'm the one with DRS. We're the ones chasing, and I need all the energy I can muster to get back at Tramnitz, because off every corner exit, now he's going to have the advantage. The medium tyre will be the best race tyre at this point in the race, but the DRS and ERS combo is a powerful one as we come at him at a rate of knots down the inside as late as we can. We're actually a little bit deep into the corner, but that helps us slow things down. And then just like we did to Verstappen in Japan, we've gone none ERS there, or I tried to. We have to use a little bit of battery to make sure we stay ahead, but now none ERS like we did in Suzuka Sector 1. Slow things down, save battery, because it's the last lap. This is it, and I need ERS for the last part of this lap, for this race. Annoyingly though, and a little bit controversially, that's going to bring Ocon into play as Tramnitz has the tyre wear now to go right round the outside. We're going to twitch of oversteer. The car snaps and Tramnitz leads now going into the second half of the last lap. But Ocon, the outside threat, is now there. So it's no longer an inter-team battle. The Ferrari could be a smash and grab contender as we gain with DRS, but on purpose, sticking behind, playing a bit of 4D chess on the grandest stage to make sure we line this up to make that move into the final corner. It's not a given though. Look at Ocon. He's right up the gearbox, but we're gaining and we've got to go for it. We do the kamikaze dive and go down the inside, but it's all clean, it's all respectful, and it's now a drag race to the line. Look how close this is. Are we going to do it? Are we done it?
You worked hard for that one. Congratulations. Well done.
We have.
Thank you very much. It was nice out there.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Photo finish with not only Tramnitz, but did you see there, last minute, Ocon also pulled out.
He's made it all the way to the top step of the podium. Ollie Behrman takes the checkered flag.
Race win, fastest lap as well, so that extra point for them today, and what a masterful performance. They really showed a clean pair of heels to the rest of the opposition out there today. They had no answer for them.
The top three have scrapped on the racetrack. They will now line up next to each other, the best of this race. And Ollie Behrman making his way to the highest step on the podium.
I hope you caught the race results there quickly. It was 0.087 separating the top three. That is ridiculous. Ridiculous. Photo finish of sorts with ourselves and Tramnitz. Ocon was right there, right at the end, and that was very nervy, but it's vindication, and you know, we've made up for the engine failure Behrman had. We lead the championship still in both regards. A bit of a swap there in terms of where Behrman is, but Tramnitz is actually still the one leading the way, but it's another win to add to this season, to add to the tally, to make the most of this moment in time in this season, because these days may not continue later on in the season, so we continue to make the most of it. Guys, if you have enjoyed that was an insane ending. Be sure to hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. When you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.